Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here today. We will have an amazing panel with these fantastic professional women, and the topic is one of my favorite topics. It's about silos, or better, how to break silos. And I would like to ask you the same question, so please give us your professional opinion. The question is really simple. Did you encounter silos in your professional career? We can start from you, Anne.
Okay. Yes, I did. Across my career, I've experienced many teams working in isolation, basically. Working with limited collaboration and communication. For example, between supply chain teams and sales teams, or supply chain and finance, but even between local and global teams. And almost always it was leading to lack of trust, a limited decision making, not meeting targets. And in the end, it was leading to limited innovation. So it was a blocker for growth as well as for people engagement.
Thank you. And you, Ekin?
Yes, I experienced as well in all my organization I worked in. Especially in the global and metrics organization, your experiences is more. So it's what I would agree as well is more on the, let's say, the department pillars like supply chain, finance, business, working on the same project, same goal, but having completely different perspective, maybe different prioritization, different timeline, different metrics, which was at the end creating a duplication, delays, making a decision process is less effective, and frustration on the team. And not only the operational efficiencies you were missing, but plus you were also affecting the team on the moral, on the trust, you know. That was also such a impact on the business what I experienced.
Thank you. And you, Oliwia?
Yeah, definitely same here. I relate to everything what Anne and Ekin mentioned. What I can say on the top of that in the omni-channel companies where our customers fluently jump between traditional retail and e-commerce, it's also quite challenging. And this is this collaboration and making this smooth experience is when the trust at the end is built or break for our customers. And in Decathlon, which has a very strong retail history and the DNA and some established processes in retail, relatively new e-commerce and digitalization is interrupting and messing a little bit with the ways we were going before. So it can cause some silos between the teams.
Okay, thank you. And moving to the second question is about how to break silos. So do you have an example of how you break silos in your career? A good example?
Yeah, for me, it always starts with leadership, I would say. I've learned the importance there. So if you want to break silos, it starts there by leading with example. For me, 3 elements are key there, related to your question on an example. One is bring in a North Star. That would help us in the past in aligning teams on where to go, cross-functionally. So they had a common goal, and then we were able to break because they needed to collaborate, they needed to talk and communicate. I think that was for me key. And secondly, it is about how we did it is train on communication. So learn to listen, to understand, instead of being understood, what happens most of the time. And helping your teams to think win-win, so being at stake for each other. When we trained that with teams, and for example with our supply chain and demand planners, if we learned them to become business partners, so think from the business problem, really try to understand, ask the right questions, then they were breaking the silos because they were really helping and enabling the growth strategy. And that brings me to the third point. For me, that is another example is use IBP process or a different process across your company to execute your strategy, because it forces teams to think outside of their own silo, to think in and to work in cross-functional teams. And by doing that, you break them. But it all, for me, it starts with us and you as leaders. That's where it starts.
So the secret is leadership and communication.
Yes.
Thank you. And for you, Ekin?
I would echo exactly. And what I would also say, I guess it's very important to recognize these silos at the early stage, to understand if it's structural, behavioral, or some cultural link to company's culture, let's say. And then at that point, I guess leadership plays a significant role to lead a bit calm and with the coaching approach, to understand the people, listen them carefully, and ask the right question to make sure they own the process, not just the contributor, but as an owner of the process, which then it breaks the silos strongly. And like in my experience, it's IBP, integrated business planning, is seen as a really supply chain operational, let's say, process. But in my experience in my previous company, I was putting a finance in very much in the core of the process, to collaborate with the supply chain, with the marketing, innovation, with the sales team, to make sure finance is not acting as a just, the reporting function to react to numbers, what happened after, but instead is driving the decision, challenge the assumptions, give more insight for the future, looking forward approach to make sure business as a whole, not as just one, department silo, gives a better decision as much as we could. Plus, I also had an experience with these M&A footprint strategies for the companies, two of them. I'm still doing it. And these footprint strategies could be also seen in the supply chain as like a cost efficiency approach. But instead of focusing only the cost optimization, it will be seen as a full picture together with the business, with supply chain, with the finance as a whole company P&L, not only for, let's say, 1-2 years, but for like a long term, to take the correct action. So that's impacting very well to breaking the silos.
Thank you very much. So you need to have a 360 degrees approach.
Yes.
To break silos.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oliwia.
Okay, yeah, so I will build on what you said, 360-degree approach, because as Ekin and Anne mentioned, it's all about collaboration, it's about communication and people are about the culture, the purpose, the growth, the fun. We also need some fun. We need to celebrate our successes together to kind of bridge those departments and break the walls between us. And in my career in Decathlon, I understood that to succeed with last mile delivery and creating this end-to-end customer experience, we really have to break that silos. And to do it in maybe efficient way, if you can influence your structure, is to build the structure and bring the team around the table that will naturally encourage collaboration. And how you can do it is to make sure that your team is very diverse, that you recruit, that you not create ultra specialized team with an ultra specialized language and words that nobody understands but them, but create the team that will have this different background. So when I had a chance that I joined the team at early stages of e-commerce, so I could build my team and select people. So I was paying attention that I have someone with a strong background in transportation and negotiation, and it's Antonio who is here today. So hi, Antonio. And also the team that used to work has background in the retail, in customer service. So when we work together, when we discuss our strategy and the further steps, we can really connect the right dots. We can challenge each other at the early stage, and to have really this 360-degree, invite all the stakeholders early and often. And saying stakeholders, I'm meaning also the partners, external partners, the career companies that you collaborate with. And I think the big mistake that I notice is to talk to your partners only during the price negotiation time, and talk to other departments only when the things break. Then there's a fire, there's a lot of frustration. And so my advice would be to build the relationships beyond the crisis. Build them when the things are okay, and talk more about the future, about how you can anticipate things together, how to have shared goals and shared sense of responsibility rather than whose fault was that, and blame game, ping pong games, and these things that we all experience, and it's normal, it's natural.
So the human factor is the key.
Human factor, and building this trust and empathy by mixing the teams and helping them understand each other better. And I will maybe say one more thing that I really love about Decathlon, and it's kind of our in our culture, that when we join Decathlon from external company, for example, we spend at least a week, but in some cases few weeks or a month in the store or in the warehouse doing the job. And it also applies to finance team, to lawyers, to anybody. So it's really good in this onboarding time that they can feel the DNA of the company. They can feel what it's the daily life and the daily struggle, and what's most important, what is behind the numbers, the Excel sheets, that there is a lot of complexity.
Understanding the business.
Yes.
So the basic is business and people at the end.
It is, yeah.
Great. So coming back to you, Anna, what are the key benefits of breaking silos? Because we are talking about how to, etc. But at the end, when you break silos, what can you achieve?
Yeah, so the main benefit I've learned is becoming more efficient and effective as a company. And secondly, I would say, is when there's trust, you're able with teams to create, to become more creative, to become more innovative. So in the end, if you're breaking down silos, I believe you're better able to execute your strategy and to aim for where you're heading. And if you do so successfully, you grow engagement of people. And when you do that, you start building stronger teams, cross-functional teams, because in the end, it's not about silos, as we said. And if you have that, then you create also an environment where people grow. And if people grow, new ideas come. So you're creating a high-performance culture. And in the end, that is, I would say, your competitive advantage. And you grow.
Great. And for you, Ekin?
I will say fast decision-making process in a good way, of course, especially in this environment under this such a big pressure. Every day is like many things are changing, like what we are facing, for example. As Coty globally is the tariff changes, is many stuff is happening right now. So you need to react quickly to make sure you take your position in market in a best way as much as possible. So from that point, I guess the decision-making processes became even more important to make sure you acting as an agile company. So from that point, I guess breaking silos is giving you an opportunity to act quick and act in a best way as much as you can do, I say. Plus, then there is also the people point, because then you take the team into the breaking the silos, you take to the team to the like a total business approach. Then people feel more collaborative, like, you know, more adding value into the company's results, which then at the end, we are all human. We are not just coming to work from 8 to 6 p.m. So, right, there is also kind of aim for us for satisfaction. So from that point, I guess it's also makes people around happy, which also generates at the end is the operational and financial efficiencies for the companies.
Thank you. And you, Oliwia?
Yeah, collaboration definitely boosts innovation, and the team mindset shifts from reactive to more proactive. They start to also have this natural collaboration urge that they want to consult the decision, that they start to take initiative. And I think this is the most powerful, that the decision-making process is being faster, like Ekin mentioned, but also the team is more autonomous in making decisions. They are not so afraid because they know who to ask. They are not afraid to schedule some meetings, to consult their ideas, to be open about discussion and a lot of interesting improvements, a lot of little small improvements that sum up to the big impact on the business happens when people start to regularly interact and talk to each other with an open mind and open heart in a way, without judgment, frustration, and all the emotion that are usually assigned to the silos.
Thank you. So just to wrap up, we see that breaking silos can improve the business, can improve the team collaboration, can improve at the end the global results of the company. But if I ask you to give an advice to our audience, do you have a special message that you would like to spread? Yes.
Yes, so for me, my advice would be spend time with your teams on their unique contribution to the strategy, to the overall business strategy. So not only for your functional KPIs, I guess that's a trap. So start big and start 3 years from now with a long-term strategy and see a really, in simple language, in workshops, let them understand how they contribute. If they really understand where to head to, what their role is to that, and their importance to that, they have a broader perspective. And it helps them to start thinking differently and asking different questions. And also to show them how their KPIs contribute to the overall. Because then they will start also discussing conversations differently. So I strongly encourage there as well to spend time on storytelling. If you always start from your own perspective, you lose your audience, you lose, especially between supply chain teams and sales. If supply chain starts to talk about only efficiency, they lose their audience. So if they turn it around and they start from big and then they collaborate. So that will be my advice, spend time there.
Thank you. Ekin.
Listen people carefully and calm, just to create an environment that people feel safe enough to stand up, share their ideas, challenge the assumptions, not too afraid, to question anything in front of many people, and be proactive. Just don't wait for someone to come to ask you a question or give an opinion or just, anything. But be proactive. Just go ask, what about this? I see this, like in finance. I see this. I want to understand what's happening behind, or if any projects, even if it is not structure, but if you see something, it will be beneficial to have this insight, go and ask. And if something doesn't go in an expected way, just don't sit back, play the victim, but just, motivate yourself to continue to say, okay, I can do it.
Thank you.
Thank
Olivia.
Yeah, definitely mix the teams, bring representatives of other departments to your table. Do it beyond the crisis. Don't do it when everything is on fire. Do it when you're more discussing about the potential opportunities, and be intentional about the language you use, because we don't want people switch off when they become too overwhelmed. And I was very intentional about using very simple descriptive names of the projects, not using 5 different names for the same project which is happening in the companies, and then nobody knows what we are talking about. So be intentional about simplifying the language, being very descriptive about what you do, and also between the teams talk about also mistakes and the things that doesn't work in the way that you can show a little bit of vulnerability for the other team to show this human side and build the trust that yes, we can say that this didn't work, and we now can discuss together how to make it work better in the future. So they share the responsibility, and they feel more empowered that they can all contribute, and that we all play to the same goal. So that was my recommendation. Mix people, do it beyond the crisis, and use the simple language.
Thank you very much. So we see that the real secret is about leadership, communication, and collaboration, if I can synthesize in that way. And I see that time flies, as I can translate from my Italian, il tempo vola. So we don't have time for Q&A, but our speakers will be there for anyone that wanted to continue the conversation. And I want to thank you for your thoughts and for this conversation. And a big applause for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.